Hello, Camden parents. I am Tameeka Mason, a Camden born and raised Camden City Public School product, and I am here to join in the celebration of Black History Month here with the Kroc Center. I serve as the Executive Director for Camden Enrollment, and I also have the pleasure to serve as a advisory board member here at the Salvation Army Kroc Center right here in Camden. Today, I am going to share a few books again for our little ones, for our teenagers, and a little something for yourself. I was able to pull up these resources from our African American History Book Fair that is usually hosted over in Philadelphia. Of course, with everything going on this year, they went virtual, and they also have their whole list and store right online at bookshop.org. If you have the opportunity, check it out, and also check out some of my recommendations. I am going to provide my top 5 recommendations as far as how we can learn more about our history, Black history. My first book, It Doesn't Take a Genius, written by Olumbalosa Rude Perkivoch. This book is about a hilarious and moving coming-of-age tale that explores the intersection between self and community and the complexity of Black identity as a boy wonders. If he's not who he's always thought he was, who exactly can he be? So again, that book is It Doesn't Take a Genius. My next book that I would like to recommend is the book of William Still and his free stories, The Father of the Underground Railroad. Now, if you've been following the Kroc, we did have in a previous recording, we had the stories of the Still family and the Underground Railroad. So this would be a great book to begin those conversations with your children. From Ezra Jack Keats, award-winning author-illustrator Dante, comes the highly anticipated and remarkable little-known story of William Still, known as the father of the Underground Railroad. And again, this brings deserved attention to the life of a man who dedicated himself to recording the lives of others. Again, if you have the opportunity, log on to bookshop.org to invest in these books. My third book recommendation, Whoosh, Lonnie Johnson's Super Soaking Stream of Inventions. Now this book is super cool for our teenagers, a cool idea with a big splash. You know, the Super Soaker. It's one of top toys of all of the inventions here today. And it was invented entirely by accident. Trying to create a new cooling system for refrigerators and air conditioners, impressive inventor Lonnie Johnson instead created the mechanics of the iconic toy. So for you teenagers that love those Super Soaker water guns, this book may be just for you. Learn how that Super Soaker was actually invented. And now my fourth recommendation. This is entitled What Lane? And it's written by Tori Maldonado. What Lane is actually a book if you're wondering how to begin confronting anti-Black racism in your classroom, and start with what lane? So again, this is a good book for, our teenagers or for our young adults, just trying to begin how do we even confront and conversate about anti-racism. My fifth book recommendation, We Rise, We Resist, We Raise Our Voices. Now this book, 50 of the foremost diverse children's authors and illustrators, including Jason Reynolds, Jacqueline Woodson, and Kwame Alexander, they all share answers to the question, in this divisive world, what shall we tell our children? In this beautiful, full-color keepsake collection published in partnership with Just Us Books. So this book again can be shared with our children, with our teenagers, and it can also be shared with our adults. I want to also take some time to shout out some of our local writers and authors. The first local writer that I wish to share his book is Eric Powell, a Camden native, and his book is entitled Camden and the Lightning Bug. The second local Camden author, Rashid Mason, and his book is entitled I Need to Wiggle. The last local author that I wish to shout out is Darnell Moore, who wrote the book No Ashes in the Fire. And you can, of course, find all of those books on Amazon and any bookstore that offers books. Again, I want to thank the African American History Book Fair for providing access to books where we can learn more about Black history. And remember, if you wish to find any of these books, you can log on to www.bookshop.org. Remember, we must continue to learn about our history because Black history is American history. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Nicole Vaughn, and I'm going to be talking to you about education resources and investing in yourself as part of the Black History Month program. So first I'm going to talk to you about sort of why it's important to invest in yourself for your future and your success. I'll talk about the pathway and then talk about a number of different opportunities from the trades to college to entrepreneurship as well as the military. And then a few items we'll talk about seeking help and thinking about your network. And then I'll talk about financial aid and scholarships, and then why continuing to learn at any age is really, really important. So investing in yourself. So what is the why? The why is because you really need to think that you are your biggest investment. And so spending that time to really know yourself, to really commit yourself to thinking about what you like, what you value, what you find is important is really critical. It also gives you the chance to think and have a healthy mindset and be able to model for yourself, for your family, for your community, the importance of thinking about the future. And we like to talk about return on investment. So return on investment is what you put in now, you can really reap the rewards later. So start today and reap those big rewards tomorrow. The other thing that we want to talk about is really knowing yourself. And knowing yourself is extremely important. And so some of the key questions that you ask is, what brings you joy? What are the things that really bring you to life, that really bring you happiness? What are the things that are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are the things that you like to do? And we always tell people to really start from that place, because when you start from that place, you're able to really find a career and a pathway that doesn't feel like work every day. The other thing we talk about is, what are your lifestyle? What kind of lifestyle do you want for you and your family? Some people like to work certain shift hours. Some people like more flexible hours. Some people like a set schedule. So you really need to think about yourself and your family and what you really would like to do. We also think about what your talents are. What are the things that people have seen in you and really encourage in you and say, you know what, you're amazing at that. And if people can see different things in you, sometimes you don't see them in yourself, those are the things that you should think about investing more time in developing. Some other key points of knowing yourself are your values. What do you value in a position? What do you value? Do you value your independence? Do you value the relationships? Do you really want to help others? Do you want a job that's focused, or a career that's focused on achievement? Or do you want security? Some people want job security. Sometimes compensation is a key factor that people look for. Do you want to be creative in your position? So knowing these things about yourself and sort of making that list and spending that time sort of figuring this out is a lot of work up front, but it'll pay in the end. Also, you really need to consider your personality. Are you a shy person? Are you an introvert? Are you someone that's more outgoing or an extrovert, or you really like to be social? think about those aspects of your personality because that fits in with your talents. And that may be something that you need to consider when you're thinking about a career. So now that you've done your work on looking at yourself and thinking about what your values are, now you really need to think about what are the career options. And so one of the first places are to really explore different occupations by talking to a lot of people. And so you really need to sort of come out of your shell and really sort of talk to lots of people, ask them what they're doing, why they like doing what they do, or what are the challenges within the work that they're doing. So you have a lot of information to really know if this is really the path for you. You also want to know the responsibilities, the requirements, and the skill sets that it takes to do a particular job, because you really want to make sure you're matched well to that type of opportunity. Another thing to do is to examine if the career overall, what the career outlook looks like. And so what that means is the field that you're interested in, is it growing or is it contracting? If it's growing, what does it look like in the next 5 to 10 years, right? For this particular industry. What do the current job descriptions look like? So take a look at those job descriptions and see, do I have a lot of these skills, or are there some certain areas that I need to increase my training or increase more time sort of learning about this particular position. And one really great website is the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS.gov. And here you can find out all of this information. You can look and find out about career trajectories over the next 10 years. You could look at salary projections, and they talk about long-term career projections for over 800 different fields. So you can see what it's going to look like for the next 10 years within different fields to see where there's shortages, where there are areas where there's maybe too many people, the market may be saturated. And so knowing this ahead of time can really help you as you plan your educational pursuits. The next slides here talk about sort of that there's no one route. There's so many ways to be successful. There's so many different career paths. And here we see that there's the trades. There's a great website called exploringthetrades.org. And on that website, you can look and see all the different types of trades, all the different types of apprenticeships. And one of the key things is really looking at the benefits of the trades. They're really in service of community. Many times there's so many different opportunities that are available. And one of the great things is that you're earning money while you learn. So many times those internships or apprenticeships are paid. And so it gives you a lot of opportunity to really make money. And you have what's called a mobile office. You're many times in many different places, interacting with lots of different people. So it's a great, great path. The other path is the high school or GED, which you can look on the New Jersey government website, and there's many different resources there. They talk about studying and test prep, and this also gives you additional career options that you can look forward to. Another pathway could be college, and so one of the things that we talk about is figuring out really the best fit. And so this means doing a lot of research ahead of time, thinking about where do you want to learn? Is that program is a high quality program? Is it affordable? Where's the location? Checking out the accreditation and seeing if the programs have been accredited. Also thinking about the time investment. Are there flexible opportunities for you to learn the information, or do you have to go to a specific site in order to learn? What's the graduation rate? What do the prospects look like for people who've graduated from that particular college or university? Also, it's important for you to talk to people who have graduated, talk to the alumni of those programs and see what they're doing. Another route, which is another great route, is the military. So there's 5 branches of service. Those are great opportunities. They have very similar career paths as many civilian opportunities. The fun thing about the military, there's lots of travel and flexibility and adaptability. And so I come from a military family and have known that it's given a lot of great opportunity to people over time. The longer term benefits are, retirement benefits, student loan repayment programs, really veteran benefits and healthcare benefits. So thinking over the long term, how that a career in the military can really be really fruitful and really exciting. So I urge you to check out those branches of service there and see if there is something that fits your interest. And then finally, there's those people that are entrepreneurs and want to chart their own course, steer their own ship. And so this is the type of career where you're learning at your own pace. It's a high risk but high reward type of opportunity for people to go down. And you have to be 100% committed to your success. You have to have a lot of discipline to be able to really steer your own ship. But it gives a lot of adventure, a lot of creativity. You're learning every different aspect of business in order to be able to make yourself successful. So educating yourself, asking questions, seeking help, and networking are some of the other areas that we'll touch on. So really, as educating yourself, asking questions is key. It is extremely critical that you have a curious mindset. Many times they say people that are asking questions means that they're engaged. People who are asking questions means that they're constantly learning. And so you want to have that, particularly when you're looking down different educational paths, different trade and career options. You want to seek help also from people that are mentors around you, as well as your peers. So seek help from people that are in positions to be able to help you. And put your resume together and get some feedback. That's one of the key things that you can do early on, is put your resume together and then give it to a few people and say, what does this show about me? When you read this, what do you see? Where are the skills that are highlighted here for me? And then networking. Everybody's using social media now, so making sure that you are expanding your circle, using that social media to your best advantage, making sure that when you're thinking about your career and your educational opportunities, that your online image kind of matches the image you want to project for a potential career opportunity, because many times the Human Resource Office is looking at those things as well. So making sure that you have the image out that you want, and then also being able to talk to people and follow up and really continuing to push yourself to really ask those hard questions, not only of yourself, but of others as well. So now that you've gotten all this information, you know yourself, you've looked at different opportunities, and now you're thinking, how am I going to fund these opportunities? How am I going to get money to do this? There's so many resources out on the internet around scholarships, and really thinking about ways that you can support your education. One of the things that you have to know is that really seek out financial education early in the process. This should be one of the main steps that you should think about alongside of all this other work that you're doing. Think about being realistic in terms of the amount of debt you want to take on, and really know that you need to think about the salary that that particular position has and how much it costs to be trained in that area, and not take on more debt than that salary will allow you to be able to pay for. So really being conscious and thinking about how much debt you want to take on is extremely important. The other thing that's important is knowing the difference between different types of loans and scholarships and grants. So scholarships and grants are things that you do not have to pay back. Loans, there's federal loans, there's private loans. So making sure that you know the terms of those loans, so how much money you owe, when that money is going to be due, what happens if you miss a payment, when the first payment is due, and when the last payment is due. Making sure that that is clear and that you understand that is important. Keeping track of the debt, the principal, as well as the interest, so the money that's on top of what you have borrowed, and making sure that you are realizing that that debt is going to be paid off over a lifetime, and realize that that debt has to be paid. That debt can never be discharged. You will always have that student loan debt. But then also realize that there's many student loan repayment programs if you're interested in particular fields. And so making sure you research all of those opportunities that are there if you particularly work in a field that's needed or in areas where people are needed. Sometimes you can get loan forgiveness for doing that type of work. So there's just so many different resources out there. And so in conclusion, I would love to just let you know that lifelong learning is extremely important. At any age, you can jump into doing any of these tips and strategies. Really being a person that's curious, really being a person that's always seeking. And anytime you make one step, just know that that next step follows. And so you can change from a career that maybe you're doing something that doesn't align with your passions. Every day is a new day to think about what the next step is for you and for your family. And then finally, here are a number of the resources that you could use as well to explore careers, explore yourself, as well as some of the other resources related to financial aid for you. Thank you.
One question for you. What would you recommend for someone who's specifically a career changer, who's been in a career maybe 10, 20 years, who's looking for a fresh start?
So for someone who's a career changer, I would definitely think about these tips around really knowing yourself. So because you've spent that time in 10, 20 years in a particular career, you know a lot about what you like and what you don't like. So I would make a list of the things that you really liked about your career, as well as a list of the things that you really did not like. I would also make another list about the things that are important to you and what you value, because at that point, you're really clear on your values. You're really clear on the type of environment you want to work in. So you have like a lot more information that you can have at your disposal to be able to make that new change and that new switch to another career. You can also, after you've made those lists, you can start to see where your skills lie, and then begin to really draft what's called a functional resume. And the functional resume is something that really highlights the skills that you bring to the table. It's not a chronological resume, which shows all of the things that you've done over the last 10 years, but really highlights the key skills that you want to bring out in this new career, in this new position. Your cover letter is extremely important as well. And the other thing that I would say is, if you're interested in a new industry and making a switch, start trying to talk and network with people that are in that industry and ask, what are they looking for? What kinds of skills sets would they find desirable? And then see where you match up to that. I think career changers have a really great opportunity, especially now during COVID-19, for people to really think about what they really want out of their life and what do they really want for themselves as well as for their families. And so now is really the time to sort of think about what's ideal for you and what do you see yourself doing and contributing in the future.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Vaughn, awesome presentation. What advice would you give to teenagers who, in the midst of COVID-19, may be home a lot now, may not be able to go out and really talk to a lot of campus recruiters? What advice would you give teens as they're considering their career goals?
So for teens, I would say you have the benefit of time, so you can try all different types of things. So you can really begin to look at all different types of campuses. A lot of campuses and trades now have online presence and online tours. You can schedule time to talk with advisors, do Zooms through all types of video conferencing tools. So now this is your time to really use all that social media skill that you have and really begin to ask questions and start to really expand your network. You can really talk with a lot of different people. And so as you're talking to all those different people about their careers, what they like, what they don't like, take notes of all of that. And then really also think about yourself and what are the kinds of things that you enjoy? What are the kinds of things that you want to do? And then again, match that up with that list. And then you'll be able to start to chart a path of what you think you can do next. For teens as well, I always say that, because you have the benefit of time, really expose yourself and really ask tons of questions and just try something. If you don't like it, you can always try something else differently, because you might not have as many other dependents and other burdens and other things on your plate. So you're really sort of free to really explore and try as much as you possibly can.
Dr. Vaughn, can you tell us where you grew up and how did you choose your career in being a college professor?
So I grew up in New Jersey, in central New Jersey. And one of the things that I really liked, particularly, I got my undergraduate degree from Morgan State University in Baltimore in psychology. And while I was there, I had a couple of professors that were really amazing and really took an interest in me and sort of my skills and the things that I like to do. And they really mentored me. And I'm still in contact with them today. And so you just never know sort of along your path who you'll meet and who will support you. And so by having those different opportunities that they presented, an internship to go apply to this or volunteer this place, I was able to sort of learn a lot about different careers. I worked for a summer in a actual research lab on a lab bench doing all kinds of experiments, and realized I didn't want to do that. And then I worked one summer at Bed Bath & Beyond and realized I didn't want to do that. So I just tried so many different things. I worked in a hospital, I worked in churches, I worked in after school settings. And so I tried many different things. And so by the time I was thinking about what my lifestyle and the kind of lifestyle I wanted to lead and the kind of career I wanted, I decided I wanted to go into academics and become a health psychologist.
Thank you, Dr. Vaughn.
Thank you.